You know that feeling you get sometimes when you're watching the news and you just get this sense that, I don't know, things are getting a little tense, like the whole world is holding its breath? Well, let's get into that, because that feeling, it's not just in your head.
The data actually backs it up. I mean, get this, in 2023 alone, 59 different states were involved in some kind of war. That is the highest number we've seen in a single year since all the way back in 1946. So this isn't just a vibe, it's a real, measurable spike in global conflict.
And that right there brings us back to that personal feeling, doesn't it? This quote just nails how that big global data point feels in our actual lives. It's that little pit in your stomach every time you unlock your phone. So what on earth is going on?
Well, here's a thought. What if the reason everything feels so off is because we're looking for the wrong signs? What if that huge global conflict we're all afraid of isn't some future event, but it's already here, happening all around us right now?
The whole idea here is that maybe, just maybe, we're in the middle of a new kind of world war. And the reason we might not see it for what it is because it doesn't look anything like the wars of the past. The rules have completely changed.
Okay, let's break that down. On one side, you've got what we think of as old school or kinetic warfare. You know, the stuff you see in history books, bombs, tanks, soldiers on a battlefield. But on the other side, that's the new reality. A modern war fought with information, with cyber attacks, and with economic leverage.
And this quote, man, it just nails the shift perfectly. You used to need a massive army to be a threat. Not anymore. Now, a small group of people with the right tech can cause absolute chaos in another country from thousands of miles away. It's warfare on the cheap, and it's completely rewritten the rules of the game.
So, rule number one in this new game, it's all about fighting indirectly. The big global powers have figured out it's way cheaper and a lot less risky to fight each other using somebody else. We are living in the age of the proxy conflict.
So what is a proxy war exactly? Well, imagine you have two major rivals, country A and country B. Instead of going head-to-head, which would be catastrophic, country A finds a smaller, ongoing conflict somewhere else in the world. They then pour money, weapons, and training into one side of that conflict, all to weaken country B's influence without ever firing a direct shot.
And yeah, there's a pretty clear playbook for how this whole thing goes down. Step 1, find a fire that's already burning. Step 2, pick the side that's going to help you the most. Step 3, pour gasoline on their fire by giving them weapons, money, and intelligence. And the result? You get to weaken your main enemy without ever putting your own soldiers in harm's way. And look, this isn't some abstract theory, right? Just look at the headlines. Many see the war in Ukraine as a massive proxy conflict between Russia and Western powers. The simmering conflict between Israel and Iran, it's fought through proxies all over the Middle East. Syria, Libya, Yemen. It's the same pattern again and again. All right, so that brings us to the second new rule of war. We're moving from the physical battlefield to the battlefield inside our own heads. Because in this new era, information itself is the weapon. The big challenge here is that we're living in what a lot of people are calling a post-truth society. You know, it used to be there were a handful of news sources everyone generally trusted. Now, information comes at us from a million different directions. There's no longer one single shared reality. And that space, that confusion, is where this new war is fought.
And I mean, just look at the scale of this change. It's wild. The old way of doing InfoWar was so clunky, like dropping paper leaflets out of an airplane. Today, it's about weaponizing the algorithm. It's about using social media, bots, and AI to spread narratives and disinformation at a speed and scale we've never seen before.
What all this does is create a kind of digital fog of war. It's that constant uncertainty, not knowing what's real, who to believe, what's actually happening, and that confusion is precisely what fuels that anxiety we were talking about at the start. It's a deeply unsettling feeling, and in our world, it has some terrifying implications.
And this is where it gets really scary. Because that digital fog of war, it takes our oldest, deepest fear and puts it on a whole new level. The threat of nuclear war never went away. It's just become way more complicated and way more unpredictable.
Here's the thing you got to understand. The danger isn't just about some leader deliberately pushing the button anymore. In a world of deepfakes and viral misinformation, we could be one single miscalculation away, triggered by a fake video that looks real enough, from a global catastrophe.
And listen, this is not some hypothetical fear. This has almost happened. Back in 1983, a Soviet officer named Stanislav Petrov had his warning system light up, telling him 5 American nukes were on their way. Protocol was clear:
reported up the chain, which would have started an all-out nuclear war. But he just had a gut feeling it was wrong, a computer glitch. He broke protocol, trusted his gut, and pretty much saved the world.
And that threat? It's always there. Always. A former commander of the U.S. nuclear subforces said the Pentagon runs drills and rehearses for nuclear war 3 times a day. Not once a week or once a month, 3 times every single day. That's how close to the edge they believe we are. All the time.
Okay, so after all that, what are we supposed to take away from this? What's the bottom line? Well, it's that the very idea of what a front line or a battlefield even is has been completely transformed.
Just think about that shift for a second. In the 20th century, war was fought on a physical battlefield, with tanks, bombs, and the goal was to occupy land. Simple enough. But today, it's fought in the digital world, in our own minds, with weapons like data and algorithms and stories. And the goal? It's not about land anymore. It's about controlling influence. And even though the weapons are changing, the money being poured into them is definitely not slowing down. Nope. Global military spending is just going up and up. We're talking about the highest levels ever recorded in human history. And this is probably the most important thing to get. When wars are fought with information for influence, the battlefield isn't some far-off place on a map anymore. The front line is, well, it's everywhere. It's in your social media feed. It's on your phone. It's in your head.
Which brings us to one last, really critical question. In a war that's fought for influence, what's the most valuable territory you can possibly capture?
It's your attention. In this new kind of war, the ability to control what you see, what you think, and what you believe, that's the ultimate prize. That's the new front line, and we're all on it.